Evet, so oops, I forgot to
Evet.
tell you, but this session is going to be recorded, so if you don't want to appear on YouTube, you can turn off your camera, and if you want, I can restart the recording, so just let me know. If you don't have any problem with it, I will just continue with this recording. Okay. Ooh, don't see the content. So today we are going to talk about dir, dir, dur, dür, tır,
Dir, dur,
tir, tur, tür,
ter, tir, tur, ter. Okay.
danberi, danberi, tanberi, tenberi. So all these things that I've said in English are basically two things. They are since and for. So unfortunately in Turkish, since and for is a little bit more difficult compared to English. But the idea is always the same. As long as you know the vowel harmony and as long as you know the consonant assimilation, it's going to be quite easy for you. And before I start, I just want to let everyone know, because there are some new people today, that these workshops are basically happening every week, Friday, 8 p.m. Turkey time. And the A1 level workshops are on the first week of every month, the first Friday. A2 level workshops are on the second Friday of the month. And the B1 level is on the third week. And the B2 level is on the fourth week of every month, Friday at 8 p.m. So before I start talking about the since and for, dır, dir, dur, dür, tır, tir, tur, tür, and dan beri, den beri, I would like to talk about the vowel harmony quickly, because this is kind of essential. And for those who are not A2 level yet, can also follow what's happening. So in Turkish, we have two vowel harmonies, and grammar books and teachers, especially me, I like to show this vowel harmony with a capitalized A and capitalized I. So whenever you see a capitalized A in a grammar book, or whenever you see a capitalized A in my workshops, that means there is a vowel harmony. So I have to stick to a certain rule while I'm adding my suffix. And then the capital I is basically the same idea. So these vowel harmonies are listed over here. The A-type vowel harmony has two options, and they are a and e. So if I have a word that ends with one of these vowels, a, ı, o, u, and in Turkish these are back vowels, my suffix basically takes a in it. The easiest example for this is the plural suffix. The plural suffix is always shown as lar with a capital A. So that means I have two options for this. I can either have lar or lar. A quick example would be elma, elmalar, kalem, kalemler. Let's do two more examples. Let's say telephone, and let's do this all together. Telefon,
Telefonlar.
Telefonlar.
telefonlar, and then for üzüm, it's going to be
Üzümler.
Üzümler.
Üzümler.
Super. So that's the idea. This is the vowel harmony, but this is the small vowel harmony, the A-type vowel harmony. The other vowel harmony has four options, and in this one we also have to consider the consonants not only back and front, but we also have to consider whether they are flat or round. So in Turkish we have four flat vowels, and they are a, e, I, and then we have four round vowels, and they are o, u, ü. Basically, the shape of my mouth when I'm pronouncing them is round for o, u, ü. So in this vowel harmony, I have four options. And if I have a word that ends with a and ü, if the last vowel is a and ü, I basically go with the I. And if my vowel is E and E, I follow with E. If my last vowel is O and U, I follow with U. And if my last vowel is Ü, and Ü, I follow with Ü. And the best example for this is the L, li, lu, lu, which you can either use it as nationality. So country name plus L, li, lu, lu gives away your nationality. So if I say, for example,
Mısır as example.
çok güzel. If I say Mısır, it's going to be Mısırlı.
Mısırlı.
And if I say Türkiye, it's going to be Türkiye'li.
Türkiye. Türkiye'li.
Because of the vowel harmony. If I say, okay, let's think of a, okay, I'm just going to make it easy and say Istanbul. You can also be from Istanbul. So if I say I'm from Istanbul, it's going to be Istanbul.
Bulu.
Lu. And if I say I'm from Jordan, which is Ürdün, it's going to be Ürdün.
Ürdünlü.
Ürdünlü.
Ürdünlü. So that's the idea. Of course, we have different suffixes that also takes this rule. For example, we have the yes/no question, mı, mi, mu, mü. So it follows the same vowel harmony. We also have the first person suffix, which is yum, yim, yum, yum, or im, also taking the same suffix. So if you want to say I'm from Mısır, it's going to be Mısırlıyım.
Mısırlıyım.
If I want to say I'm from Turkey, Türkiye,
Türkiye.
Türkiyeliyim. If I want to say I'm from Istanbul,
İstanbul'um.
Buluyum.
İstanbulluyum. If I want to say I'm from Jordan,
Ürdünlüyüm.
Ürdünlüyüm. So it basically follows the same shape when I'm, adding these suffixes. And in today's topic, we are going to talk about both of these vowel harmonies. But then we have another rule, and we are going to use this rule as well in today's topic. And it's called consonant assimilation. It has many names, but I prefer to use consonant assimilation. And the idea in this one, in grammar topics, when you see a capitalized D, that also means it has, different variations. So the capital D basically means the suffix can be with de, or it can be with te. And we basically look at the last letter of the word when we are thinking about this. The best and easiest example is the location, the locative case, which is da, de, ta, te, which is basically in, on, at in English. So if I want to say in the class, it's going to be sınıf ta.
Ta.
And it's only because of the fe at the end, which is a sharp consonant. Turkish people remember these sharp consonants with this phrase, fıstıkçı şahap, which basically means shahab, a name who sells pistachio. But for my, for students who, who want to make it maybe even easier, you can remember it from the phrase kept fish plus che and she. So whenever you have kept fish plus she and she, at the end, the suffix that you are going to use is going to have te rather than de. So this is what we are going to use as well today. And another thing that we are going to use is the your tense. And in your tense, we always use the I-type vowel harmony. And in sentences with in sentences that has for and since, we are talking about like an action that has been going on, for some time. So, and in Turkish, the your tense is quite flexible. It has many uses, let's say. When we are talking about something that's happening right now, we can use it. Şu anda Türkçe öğreniyorum. If I'm talking about something in general, then I can use this. Her gün Türkçe öğreniyorum. If I'm talking about a stative, you know, verb like oh I love you kind of thing, then in this case I can also use it. Seni çok seviyorum. We can also use it for near future. So I can basically say yarın İstanbul'a gidiyorum, which means I'm going to
I'm
Istanbul
going to
tomorrow.
Istanbul tomorrow.
And then the last thing, if we are like using, you know, I mean in English it's called present perfect continuous tense. Then when I have to talk about like an action that has been going on for a long time, I also use this your tense. And as you can see, I already have one example that has dir in it. 10 yıldır İstanbul'da yaşıyorum. So let's talk about dir. So as I told you earlier, we have 4 options for the I-type vowel harmony, and I have 2 options for the consonant assimilation. So in total, I have 8 options in order to say for in Turkish. And for only comes after a period of time. So if I have a period of time, like I have been learning Turkish for 2 years, for 2 months, basically if I have a number and the gap from the starting till now, then I use dir, dir, dur, dür, tır, tir, tur, tür. So over here I have an example. 2 aydır Türkçe öğreniyorum. And in English we can basically translate it as I have been learning Turkish for 2 months. And unfortunately for dir, dir, dur, dür, tır, tir, tur, tür, we cannot use it for a starting point of the action. So if I have been learning Turkish since March, let's say, I cannot say like Mart'tır Türkçe öğreniyorum. It doesn't work out. So then it has to, you know, include the gap of the time that I have started the action until now. And Beri, however, is more flexible compared to dir, dir, dur, dür, tır, tir, tur, tür. And also for this one, we only have 4 options because it uses the A-type vowel harmony, which basically says that we have 2 options, dan and then. But also the capital D means that I have 2 more options, which also can be tan and ten. So over here I have dan beri, tan beri, ten beri. And we use dan beri when we are talking about the starting point of an action. So if I have been learning Turkish for like since March, then in this case I'm going to say Mart'tan beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. But the nice thing about dan beri, we can also use it for a period of time. So we can also say 2 aydan beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. So whenever you choose to use dan beri, your sentence is going to be correct. So you only have to be careful with this dir, dir, dur, dür option. Tamam.
Tamam.
So far, I mean, I think I've gone a little bit fast, so I will, if there is any question, I can answer. If not, I'm going to also talk about some of the question types that we can have with this dan, beri, and dir. And
Hemant,
one,
can
yes,
you
Aska.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just joined in. Can you give me one more example of the previous?
Yes, of course. The dir, dir, dur, dür.
Yeah.
Sure. I have this example already in the next session. So let's say Maybe I can say it has been raining for 2 days. So it is a period of time. It's 2 days. So I can say 2 gün. Let me actually hear this from you.
İki gün,
İki gündür
2 gündür yağmur yağıyor.
Yağmur yağıyor.
Let's also actually mention İstanbul'da. So today is Friday. So the rain basically started on Wednesday. So now we can also change this information to Wednesday rather than 2 days. In this case, it's going to be, let's have Istanbul'da again.
çarşambadan beri.
Oops.
Çarşamba.
Çarşambadan beri
Çarşambadan. Tamam.
yağmur yağıyor. Yes, I definitely need this dan, den, tan, ten, and also beri. And also, if you go to a historical restaurant in Turkey, you might see right below their logo, right below their name, you will see like since 1985, like kind of thing. So it's going to be 1985'ten beri. So some restaurants, they like to talk about how old they are, how authentic they are. So they always mention their founding year, I guess. Let me check chat. Yes, Jody, you can ask your question. You can unmute yourself if you want. Jody? Let me know if you are typing your question. Okay, I will move on and I will also keep my eye on the chat. So if you ask your question, I will look at it. It won't let you talk. Let's check quickly. I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself over here. Give me a second. Okay, there should be a notification now. Doesn't look like working. So if you want, you can type it in chat and I will definitely read it. Tamam? So we also have some questions, of course, with this dan, beri, and dır. And for this one, we can consider the question word ne zaman, which means when, and we can also use kaç, with a specific, time phrase in order to say, like, for how many years, for how many months. So with ne zaman, basically, both of them are possible. You can either say ne zamandan beri, or you can say ne zamandır. And both of them basically means since when. Or, I mean, you could also say, is there any possible way to say for?
How long?
For how? Bravo. Yeah. Çok teşekkürler. Just how long, or would you also say for? Just how long, right? Maybe how long have you been something would be the best. So this would be like, the translation of ne zamandır. But basically both of them can have exactly the same answer. And for kaç, all you need is the question word kaç and a time phrase. It can be year, it can be day, it can be month, it can be hour, it can be minute, it can be second. And yeah, you can ask any question. We're using kaç as well. Kaç senedir? Kaç senedir Türkiye'desin? For how many years have you been in Turkey? Kaç aydır Türkçe öğreniyorsun? For how many months have you been learning Turkish? Kaç gündür yağmur yağıyor? For how long it has been raining? Kaç saattir ders yapıyoruz? For how long have we been doing a lesson, studying. Kaç sene... Ah, çok güzel. Teşekkürler Gözde. They do that in UK also. Okay. Yes, I mean it's basically the same in English, like the idea, Nicola. I'm not sure if I understood it correctly. And we also can use some phrases that doesn't include any specific time, gap, but we can basically say for a long time. And in this case, we can use both of the options. We can either say uzun zamandır, or I can say uzun zamandan beri, because dan beri basically goes with every option. And if I want to say since the morning, then it's going to be sabahtan beri. And then there is a tricky one over here because 3 saat and saat 3 are quite different. So you have to be careful with this one. 3 saat basically means 3 hours. Meanwhile, saat 3 means 3 o'clock. So in these ones, because they are tricky, you have to be careful. So let's find out which one takes which option. 3 saat. Is it a starting point or is it a gap of like a time gap?
Time gap.
A time
Um,
gap. So then in this case, which option would be the best for this?
Dur.
Harika. So let's say 3 saattir otobüs bekliyorum. And if you're in Istanbul, it's actually quite possible. 3 saattir otobüs bekliyorum. I have been waiting for bus for 3 hours. And one thing that I have to also mention, saat is an exception word. It doesn't obey the vowel harmony. So that's why I went for the E option over here. But of course, like there are some exceptions like that, and saat is one of them. And if I have to talk about saat 3, which means 3 o'clock, is it a gap of time or is it starting point?
Start point.
Then in this case, what option is the best?
Dan beri.
Saat 3'ten beri otobüs bekliyorum. I have been waiting for a bus since 3 o'clock. And in this case, saat 3'tür doesn't work. But for the first option, because Danberi is quite flexible, I could actually say saat, oops, sorry, 3 saatten beri otobüs bekliyorum. But trust me, this one is more common. So yeah, uzun zamandır is basically another option that you can say. Uzun zamandır, uzun zamandan beri. Some people also use in spoken language çok zamandır. You can hear it in the songs as well. Doesn't sound really grammatical, but it's possible. In spoken language, basically everything is possible. Yeah, so these are the answers. We already talked about them. We can also, oh yeah, this is basically what we already had. So 3 saat and saat 3. To differentiate them, we basically have to ask the question in a different form. Kaç saattir basically means for how many hours, for how long technically. And saat kaçtan beri is since what time. So we basically started the lesson at 8 o'clock. So we can say we have been, learning Turkish for 1 hour. Then in this case, it's going to be 1 saattir Türkçe öğreniyoruz. And if I want to talk about the starting point, then it's going to be saat 8'den beri Türkçe öğreniyoruz. I'm quickly going to check chat. Get it. Yeah. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah, I mean. So, okay, over here I have some questions, some amazing questions for you. So you can pick any of them and you can unmute yourself and then give me the answer. You can write it in the chat if you want, but just pick one and answer the question. And let's practice this a little bit.
I want to answer the second question.
Go for it, Abdul.
Thank you. Kaç senedir Türkiye'de yaşıyorsun?
Hı hı.
Bir senedir
Hı hı.
Türkiye'de yaşıyorum.
Bir senedir Türkiye'de yaşıyorum. Çok güzel. And the nice thing about Turkish language, actually, it's going to be a nice trick for you. In information questions like kaç, kim, ne, nerede, nereye, all you have to do is to kick the question word out. And over here, my question word is kaç. And I just put the answer there. And then your sentence is basically ready. Of course, you have to change sen to ben as well. Çok güzel. Teşekkürler Abdul. Başka? Who else wants to answer a question?
I can answer the third question.
Evet Abdurrahman.
5 aydır sinemaya gitmiyorsun. Gitmiyorum.
Çok
Sorry.
güzel. 5
Yes.
aydır sinemaya gitmiyorum. Çok güzel. So yes, we basically get rid of the question word kaç, but we also change the sun to
Hmm.
Güzel. Laura?
Evet. İlk soru.
Tamam.
Ağustos'tan beri Türkçe öğreniyorum.
Ağustos'tan beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. If you had to change this to the sentence, what would you say then?
Hmm. Altı aydır
Hı hı.
Türkçe öğreniyorum.
Çok güzel. Ups. Çok güzel. Bravo. And then the last one. Let's have someone answering the last question. Kaç haftadır workshoplara katılıyorsun? Katılmak is to join.
Hmm.
And I'm going to read you some answers on chat. Zayn says, Eylül'den beri Türkçe öğreniyorum. It's much better to keep the verb at the end. Even though this is possible, the best option would be keeping the verb at the end. Aya says, 2 senedir Türkçe öğreniyorum. Türkiye'de yaşamıyorum. 1 aydır sinemaya gitmiyorum. 1 aydır workshoplara katılıyorum. Okay. Anyone else who wants to maybe answer the last one?
I will answer.
Abdul, you did. Let's do someone who never did.
Okay.
But you can write it in chat, and I'm sure Gözde is going to check if it is correct or not.
I can try.
Evet Sait.
2 haftadır workshoplara katıyorsun.
2 haftadır workshoplara katılıyor who?
Katılıyorsun.
Çok güzel. Katılıyorum.
Katılıyorum.
Can I ask-
For ben it's always at the end after ıyor.
Okay.
Kalisa,
Teşekkür.
buyur.
And in this case, would it be iki or would it be ikinci that would be more like normal to say? Like, would you say 2 week or second week?
In this case, you would also mention that like, second week?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, you can actually say ikinci haftadan beri. That's also possible.
Okay,
in
but
this
one,
case-
like they're both normal to say?
So the first one 2 haftadır would be a gap. Meanwhile, ikinci haftadan beri would be a starting point. That's why we basically used dan beri, like, you know, ikinci haftadan beri workshoplara katılıyorum. I'm glad you mentioned this is actually quite important. Just one quick information. In Turkish, if you have a dot at the end of a number, that's the ordinal number. So this is basically third. Dördüncü. Beşinci. It's always like this. Tamam? Evet. Do we have more answers? Let me see the chat quickly. 4 aydır workshop. Ah, okay. Çok güzel. Teşekkürler Gözde. And yeah, that's basically it. There is not much to cover, you know, I mean, in for and since, but this is basically all I can give in 40 minutes. So thank you for joining. I'm glad it was, I hope it was, you know, useful for you. And of course, before we finish the workshop, I quickly want to mention that we have a Facebook page that is called Turkish Academy. And then there's also a Facebook group where you can join and see, like, you know, Turkish materials, sometimes like news about Turkey. And we also have an Instagram page where you can hear about workshops and online courses and also blog posts. And also we have a WhatsApp group where I share the information about workshops. Last time, I mean, today I kind of let everyone know a little bit late, so sorry for that. But yeah, usually a day before I kind of remind that we are having a workshop. And also I have this beautiful website where you can visit and find you know, Turkish reading books designed like for Turkish learners. There is also an area where you can find like different materials, like learning materials that are either shared by me or students. You can also find information about online group classes, and also there are beautifully designed flashcards by Gözde, who is also with us right now, and me. So you can also find them, and you can print them, and you can basically use them on your own to, you know, increase your vocabulary. Some of them are already free, so you can see how they look. And for some of them, you will have to pay, you know, in order to download them. But they are quite useful for vocabulary, like, you know, to learn vocabulary. And of course, before you leave, I would like to take a selfie, just like all the other workshops, and then I will have your questions. So you can turn on your camera. I will stop the recording. How do I stop recording? Oh.